this leads us to the fifth trial of the dunya, and this is the trial of status, honor, and leadership. Status, honor, and leadership. And this is from the greatest of trials. It is from the greatest of trials that prevents a man from submitting to the truth. Ibn al-Qayyim, he said that one of the main reasons that prevent a person from accepting the truth is ar-riyasa wal-mulk. This love of leadership, pursuing leadership, and likewise pursuing authority. We see that in the Quran, when you reflect upon every story of the prophets, every story of every messenger that was sent to his people, you see that it was always the leaders, al-mala, the leaders, the prominent people from his people, that were the ones who made the most vocal opposition. Why? Because they did not want to let go of their position, their status in society, the fact that they were honored and followed by the majority. And so we see in the story of Nuh alayhi salam, لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا نُوحًا إِلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ فَقَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مَا لَكُم مِّنْ إِلَٰهٍ غَيْرُهُ إِنِّي أَخَافُ عَلَيْكُمْ عَذَابَ يَوْمٍ عَظِيمٍ. That we indeed sent Nuh to his people. He said, "O my people, worship Allah. You have no other deity besides Him. Indeed, I fear upon you the punishment of a mighty day." قَالَ الْمَلَأُ مِنْ قَوْمِهِ. The leaders amongst his people said, "Indeed, we see that you are in plain, clear misguidance." And we see in another ayah in the Quran, فَقَالَ الْمَلَأُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْ قَوْمِهِ. Then the leaders of those who disbelieved from his people, they said, "You are just a man like we are." And we see that only the lowly, despicable people are the ones who are following you, the ones whose opinion is very lowly and not to be counted. And we don't see that you have any favor over us. We just see you as kadhibeen, liars. See, they're dismissed merely on account of the authority that they possessed. We see the same with Nimrod, the one whom Ibrahim al-Islam, he argued with him in the story that we see in Surah Al-Baqarah. Do you not see the one who argued with Ibrahim regarding his Lord? Because Allah had given him mulk, authority. This is why he argued. He had authority, status. So Ibrahim said to him, "Rabbi alladhi yuhyi wa yumit." My Lord is the one who gives life and takes life. So he said, "Ana uhyi wa umit." I too take life and give life and take life. Meaning that if he wants, he'll kill someone, and if he wants, he will allow someone to live. So then Ibrahim al-Islam, he said to him, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْتِي بِالشَّمْسِ مِنَ الْمَشْرِقِ فَأْتِ بِهَا مِنَ الْمَغْرِبِ. So he said, indeed, Allah brings the sun from He brings it from the east, so cause it to rise from the west. Cause it to come from the west. فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. So then the one who disbelieved, he was confounded and dumbfounded. So again, we see that the fact that Allah had given him authority, he tried to use this authority to reject the truth. And incidentally, because a question came yesterday from the dars, that there was a question related to this ayah: does the sun go around the earth, or does the earth go around the sun? That which is in the Quran, that which is in the Sunnah, and that which the scholars of Islam are agreed upon is that the sun goes round the earth. The earth does not move. There is no evidence that the earth moves. Anyone who claims there is evidence that the earth moves is a kadhab, because even the most prominent scientists among them, you will find them saying very clearly, like Einstein and all these people, that no experiment can ever prove that the earth is moving. They don't have any experiment that proves that the earth is moving. Everything is assumed. They assume that the sun is in the center, then everything is reverse engineered. Everything else is reverse engineered. There's no evidence. So you will find that amongst them, the top scientists and the ones with position, they say clearly that the earth's movement cannot be proven. And this is in their books. It is known. It's established. So we as Muslims, we believe that the Quran is the haqq. Allah speaks the haqq. And as He says, أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ. Should He not know who created? Does Allah not know He who created? And that which we find in the Quran, in the Sunnah and Ijma' is that the earth is stationary and the sun actually moves. And that's what we see physically with our senses. We see it moving from east to west on a daily basis. We see the moon moving east to west on a daily basis. But all of their assumptions and their false beliefs, they want us to reject our physical senses and believe their sihr, to believe their magic, which is what it is. So anyway, that was the point, because a question came yesterday on this issue and the ayah was relevant. So I mentioned this, but there are many other ayat in the Quran which prove this as well. وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ بِحُسْبَانٍ, that the sun and the moon, they are by precise calculation. Their movements are by precise calculation. Through them we get the measurement of the day, the month and the year. And كُلٌّ فِي فَلَكٍ يَسْبَحُونَ, all of them, meaning the sun and the moon, they are in an orbit which swim. And there are other ayat in the Quran as well. But this is a matter which is a matter of iman and kufr. For that reason, Shaykh Ibn Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, he wrote a risala establishing this as something that is agreed upon. And that anyone who doubts this, then he is upon kufr. Just to make that very, very clear. So, Nimrud, he used his authority to deny the truth. Likewise, we see with the people of Hud, when he called them, قال الملأ الذين كفروا من قومه إنا لنراك في سفاهة. So the leaders amongst his people said, indeed we see that you are foolish. Foolishness has overtaken you. Likewise Shu'aib, the same with Shu'aib. His people, قال الملأ الذين استكبروا من قومه, those who became arrogant from the leaders amongst these people. So in all of this, likewise, there are examples from Fir'aun and the chiefs of Fir'aun. All of them, they took the same path. And likewise, the Quraysh, they took the same path with the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, As-Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala, he said about the Quraysh, they said, or he explains that the Quraysh were prevented from accepting the truth because they were arrogant and they thought, how can these people, these lowly, poor, poverty people, how can they be favored over us? These lowly, despicable people, how can they be favored over us? We are the leaders, we are the chiefs. So this prevented them from accepting the truth. Ibn al-Qayyim has some beautiful words in relation to how status, position, shahwa, shubha, how all of this combines in an individual and prevents him from accepting the truth. He says, everyone who preferred the world, he's speaking about the people of knowledge, but this applies even more so to those who are less than the people of knowledge. So from the people of knowledge, everyone who gave preference to the dunya from the people of knowledge and loved it, then it is necessary that he will speak about Allah upon other than the truth in his fatwa and in his hukm. Think about this. That everyone who's been given knowledge, if he has some inclination to the dunya, some hawa, some love for the world, some preference for the world, then that will manifest itself in him speaking without ilm, speaking in his fatwa without ilm, speaking in his judgment without ilm, speaking about his information in his khabar without ilm. Because the rulings of Allah Azza wa Jal, the ahkam of Allah Azza wa Jal, when they are made, often they oppose the desires of the people and the whims of the people and the goals of the people. And so especially those people who seek leadership. The ones who seek leadership, the ones who follow their shahawat, you will find that there are rules in Islam and qawaid, principles in the Sunnah and principles of Salafiyah that clash with their desires, clash with their goals of seeking leadership. And so therefore it is necessary that when they speak and when they behave and when they act, that this opposition will become clear in their words. Because they know that their goals and their desires cannot be fulfilled except by opposing the truth and repelling the truth. So he says, when an alim or when a hakim, a scholar or a ruler, they love leadership and they have shahwa within them as well, then this will not be attained by them. They will not achieve this except by opposing the truth. So they have two things, a shubha, a misconception. They have a shahwa, a desire for leadership. These two things come together, and by way of this they oppose that which is correct. And so this ya ikhwan, we see these tribulations occurring around us in many parts of the world, where we have a people claiming attachment to the truth, claiming attachment to the sunnah, claiming attachment to salafiyah, claiming attachment to the people of knowledge, but deep inside they have hubbur ri'asa. They have love of leadership. And not only love of leadership, they have with them also some shahwa. They have some desire for some portion of the world. And so you see that they cause tribulations within societies, within Salafi communities. An example that you know very too well is that of those mufsidun, those kadhabun, who tried to cause damage to, tried here in Canada 5 years ago. What was behind that? This attempted coup where they tried to take over the masjid, the building, tried to steal the books, tried to steal the bank accounts, tried to steal the domain name, tried to steal. What is behind all of this? This is hubbur ri'asa. Hubbur ri'asa, love of leadership, and there is some shahwa involved in there somewhere as well. And so these two things come together and they prevent a person from seeing the truth. He becomes so blinded. He becomes so blinded by this love of leadership that it prevents him from seeing the truth and prevents him from seeing the consequences of his actions. He becomes engrossed in his hawa. And as Ibn al-Qayyim says, وَيَنْطَمِسُ وَجْهُ الْحَقِّ, that when a person, he pursues this leadership and he has shahwa with him, then the truth becomes obscure to him. It becomes hidden and obscure to him. Even though the truth itself is apparent and open for everybody to see. Everybody can see that this behavior and this action is harmful, it's damaging, it's going to destroy the community or whatever else it might be. Everyone else can see it, but these people cannot see it. And this is the nature of following hawa and pursuing leadership and having shahwa therein as well. So this is the misguidance of the tribulation of leadership, and you see that this takes place in many different forms, in many different ways. There is leadership over nations, there is leadership over communities, there is leadership in terms of da'wah and ilm. You see many of these people put to trial from the followers of Al-Hajuri. You see these people, they are aged 17, 18, 19, 20. They have spent a year or two, learnt Arabic, memorized some Quran, and they think now that they have the position to come and speak about the great, serious issues and come and start teaching. They demand the right to start teaching. They're only 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. Whereas we see that from the people of ilm, people of knowledge, that they would be scared to speak until they reach the age of 40, and especially in the presence of other people of knowledge. This is a sign of the humility that knowledge brings you. But as for these people of desires, we see from the examples of the Hajawira, the followers of Al-Hajuri, and the students of the Takfiris in Egypt and other than them, they come back to the Western lands and straight away you see them behaving like ulama, like scholars. This Ustad Abdul Rahman Hassan and this Abu Taymiyyah Jilani and many of these Hajawira, they come and they think that they are qualified to take leadership of the da'wah, to take leadership of masajid, to take leadership of the affairs of societies. All of this is amazement with oneself and pursuing leadership. Pursuing leadership is from the great tribulations. So ya ikhwan, these are 5 tribulations of the dunya. The tribulation of shirk and kufr, the tribulation of women, the tribulation of wives and children, the tribulation of wealth, and the tribulation of leadership and status and position. Beware of all of these tribulations. Beware of all of these trials. This now brings us finally